So at the moment, I'm pretty heavily learning German,
Oh,
quite deeply immersed in German, and because there will be the conference next year in Berlin,
yes,
I hope,
yes.
and I'm hoping to get my German up to a reasonable level so that I can then have these same kind of moments in Berlin.
Berlin. Got it. Okay, so great. Now, why don't you share? So, what is your routine? Give me a like like a time, like like you wake up in the morning. What do you do? Like in
So
terms of learning.
the first thing I must say is my situation is a bit different, I think, because I don't work, I'm retired.
Okay.
So the whole day is free to me.
Yeah.
And so my routine probably is not a very practical routine for most people.
Got it.
I understand that if you've got children and a job and other
Totally.
responsibilities, it's very difficult to find any time to study. So really, every day for me is sort of like a weekend where you've got the luxury of not having stress and
So
not being tired.
I understand. So why don't you just share your routine? So just we can get a sense of like how you like immerse yourself in the language, and then you can give recommendations to those people who has to work or have children to learn the language. How's that?
Sure, sure. So I try at any time to have one main language that I'm focused on.
Okay, one language.
One language. At the moment, it's German,
Yeah.
and I spend most of my time each day on German. I'm probably doing about 2 hours of German a day
Okay.
at the moment. But I'm also working on several other languages. So I'm still working on Czech.
Ah.
I'm still working on Mandarin. I'm still doing some French, and I'm doing some Vietnamese, and tiny bit of Italian, but not very seriously. So really, I try to get German done in the mornings
Give
when
me a
my
time,
brain.
like from this time to this time, an hour. I really want to know the really specific.
Okay, so I try to have all my German finished by 10 o'clock. But you also have to realize I get up at 4:30 in the morning. I get up
Ooh.
really early.
Wow.
Yeah. So yeah.
So what time do you start? Like, so just you just try to get it before 10 o'clock whenever you feel like it. Is that what you mean?
Exactly, exactly.
And
Because
you
there are two.
would you do
There
2 hours straight or would you do
No,
an
not at
hour?
all. No. So
How
in
would you do it?
I do several things in the morning. So I play my guitar for at least an hour in the mornings. I go for a half-hour run in the mornings as well,
Yeah.
and I make breakfast for me and my wife and all these things. So I have
Oh,
to fit all in. Yeah. So I have to fit in my 2 hours, and I try not to do more than 15 to 20 minutes at a time. I find my maximum concentration span is 25 minutes.
got it.
Even better is 15 minutes.
Okay.
So anything between 15 to 25 minutes of concentration of effort on a language. After that, my mind wanders away.
Got
It
it.
really does. That's if I'm doing studying. If
Yeah.
I'm doing, yeah. So this 2 hours I'm talking about is studying time,
Got it. This is the learning time,
the learning
not the
time.
playing time.
No.
Got it.
So I've got things like on I've got textbooks. I've got Link, Steve Kaufman's Link system.
Yes.
I use that as well for German and for French and for Czech and so on. And I listen intently to radio broadcasts and
Okay.
various audio things. I try to get a mix of stuff basically,
Got it.
but I want to make it quite intensive study in the mornings.
Got it.
So then later in the day, it's play.
Got it.
So I watch, say, episodes of the Smurfs. Do you know the Smurfs?
Yes, I know this.
Okay. So currently I'm watching the Smurfs in German, and I'm actually watching the Smurfs in German and in French.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
On YouTube?
I
Where?
downloaded them all from some not quite so legal websites, to be honest. I've no idea. I don't know where I would get them legally here in
Yeah.
Prague, so I just downloaded them
Yeah.
from the internet. And so what I tend to do then is focus study in the mornings in 15 to 25-minute batches until I've done a couple of hours throughout the morning. And I try to do that before 10 o'clock.
Got it.
But of course, I've been awake for 5.5 hours by then, so I can spread out those 2 hours quite easily.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then later, I'll come on to my other languages and just do again 15 to 20 minutes of each. After that 2 hours of intensive stuff in the morning, I start to allow myself more freedom. I have structure early on, and then I'm less structured later on.
Got it.
And what I tend to do is focus on authentic materials. So watching videos, reading magazines or newspapers, and also output. I do all of my output in the afternoons.
What do you mean
Very
by that?
often. Mostly speaking.
With like a language partner or by yourself?
Okay, both of those things. So I do a lot of self-talk, talking to myself. I also do a lot of try to do simultaneous interpreting. So I'll have a recording in a foreign language. I'll listen to it, and I'll try to say it. Sorry, I'll have it in English, say, and I'll try to say it in a foreign language, or I'll have it in a foreign language and try to say it in English. Both way around, and I do that quite a lot. I go on a 2-hour walk every day, at least. Some days 4 hours in the afternoons to get away from the computer as well.
Yeah.
And I usually have some audio with me, and I'll try as best I can to do this interpreting of what's in the recording. I do self-talk a little bit, where you describe everything around you.
Yeah.
But I've found that only works for me at quite a basic level with the language, because my brain gets very lazy. And what I found tends to happen is you end up focusing a lot on nouns. So that you say things like, I can see a tree, there is a bus, now I'm walking along the street.
Yeah.
And you don't actually stretch yourself. Whereas and that's okay at the beginner stage, but when I listen to, say, news broadcasts, and you're forced to use the whole of the language.
Totally.
See what I mean?
Yeah.
So then once I'm back from my walks, most of my later stuff in the day now tends to be reading. So I've got loads of novels in various languages, like I'm reading Harry Potter in French at the moment, and I'm reading Charlie and the Chocolate Factory in Czech, all sorts of things. So that's pretty much the way it goes. So it's only very structured for the first 2 hours in terms of focused learning.
Yeah.
Then it moves more and more towards playing as the day goes on.
Wow. And the motivation to drive you to do that is because of what we talked about earlier.
And I find play more enjoyable than learning. So I get the hard stuff out of the way in the morning, and my reward, sort of, is watching the Smurfs or reading Harry Potter. I don't really, and this is the other thing that when I was first learning languages, I used to beat myself up all the time for being stupid, because I would forget everything. I would make very slow progress. I would see videos of people who seemed to be amazing and think, why are they so smart and I'm so dumb?
Yeah.
But now, over the years, I've learned, yes, I might be dumb and I might forget everything, but at the end of the day, I do learn these languages and I can function in these languages, so it is working. Just be patient and you get there. So I've learned not to beat myself up, to expect that I'm going to forget stuff, to expect I'm going to make mistakes, and to expect I'm going to get frustrated at the slow progress. But then you find, a couple of years down the line, hey, I can function quite well now in this language.
That's okay.
So,
you get there if you just keep it up.
And I think this is probably, personally, I don't know if you can describe it as a lesson or a tip for somebody, because I think you actually have to feel it yourself.
Yeah.
This feeling of, it doesn't matter that you think I'm not making progress, that you think, oh, aren't I so stupid, or so on. Because those are just tricks your brain's playing on you, and you are learning the language even when you don't realize it. It's sinking in. So allowing the sinking in process and expecting that I'm going to be constantly disappointed with myself, I realize that's just part of the process.
Got it.
Like when I'm running, I do a lot of running now, and the next day my legs ache.
Yes.
I've done a heavy run. And so I now associate the aching and the pain with the running. And I guess I've sort of associated the self-doubt and the worries and the frustrations as like the aching pains from language learning. You know what I mean?
So when you feel that, you're learning, you're progressing.
Well, I know I've tried.
You tried. Because you actually use your head, your brain to actually learn some.
And I probably really only have one language tip, one language learning tip,
Yes.
and it's that people say, "What's the secret to learning languages?" No, I'm no expert. I'm a polyglot, as I say in that video. I just think I can't say that I'm some great guru who can give great advice. I think I'm just pretty average,
Yeah.
but I think I've accomplished more than average
Yes.
by persistence and
Persistent.
persistence. And this is it. I probably can't tell people the best way to learn a language, but I can tell them the best way to not learn a language, and that is giving up.
Yeah.
And if you stick with it and you do put the hours in and you vary it and you listen to audio and you read books, and even if you don't think it's going in, it is slowly, 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 and one day you get there. So giving up is the only thing I think that is going to stop people from eventually getting there. Other than that, I think people need to be realistic about their expectations. I know it sounds great when you see somebody who's only been learning a language for 2 weeks and they have a video where they're talking to a native speaker and you think, my God, that guy's amazing. Why aren't I like that? Well, because you're not.
Too bad.
Yeah. So, in a way, as much as I am impressed by those videos, I used to get discouraged by them because I thought, my God, I'm never that good.
Yeah.
I can't speak at all in the first 2 weeks. It takes
Yeah.
me a few months. So now I try to think I can be impressed by these people,
Got it.
but I don't have to feel intimidated by
Yeah.
them. It's just like watching Usain Bolt running the 100 meters.
Yeah.
It doesn't make me think, God, I'm a useless runner. I am compared to him, but I can still be a very good runner. And the same with languages. I think now I've gone from being a language dunce to being probably better than average at language learning just by persistence and slowly plugging away at it. So plug away at it every day
Plug
a
away.
little. Don't give up, and slowly it will come.
Got it. Wow,
That's
that's great. So